insects have certain characteristics in common. For instance, 3 distinct body parts: an abdomen, a thorax, and a head. On the head are important organs like the eyes.
Now time for some interactive fun.
Back in the middle of the week with me. You're back in the middle of the week with me. That means I'm Kirk. That means this is still Dumb Test Late. And like I said, you're back in the middle of the week with me. In this middle of the week episode, we're still on the monster of the week. That's right. We're talking Insecta part 3. Back in the middle of the week with me. So, taking a break from cake again. We're back. Well, not technically in the middle of the week because I'm recording this on a Thursday. I was too tired on Wednesday. But close enough to the middle of the week. My middle break episode. Maybe I'll call it that. Middle break. Instead of middle break 8. Middle break episode. But yeah, like I said, this is still Dumb Test Late. And we're talking my Insecta story idea. We're back for the third time with the Insecta story idea. I have some new ideas I want to add. I haven't watched anything new. Haven't read anything new, even though I looked up that there are, I'll talk about this more later. What I'm going to add to the reading list as far as comics go. There's a Mothman series of comics that look interesting. And currently I'm listening to the audiobook of the Mothman prophecies. Because I was listening to another podcast about Mothman. Mothman is part of my research for this. Hopefully I talked about that on the last episode, or the first Insecta episode. I talked about Mothman. It was going to be the Mothman lore and folklore and cryptozoology. I don't want to say facts, but story surrounding the Mothman was going to be one of my references and key ideas. But I've been listening to the Mothman prophecy, the audiobook format, which is pretty good. So let me jump into my idea since I already talked about Mothman. Since Mothman is this kind of larger than life cryptid or folklore, because I didn't realize this at first. I always associated it to what I've heard about it, like West Virginia and kind of prophecies, and mainly around that bridge collapse. I think it was in Ohio. Supposedly the Mothman comes around before, or is seen before, these great catastrophes. That's one of the beliefs. But I was, listening to a couple of podcasts and the audiobook for the Mothman prophecies, that sightings of the Mothman have been going on for a long, long time. And like throughout the U.S., not just, based in West Virginia, even though it's known as like a West Virginia cryptid, usually there's sightings all over. I think mainly on the East Coast, but it's kind of all over. It's funny because listening to the Mothman prophecies, there's this, they talk about sightings that could be the Mothman, but there's also, they compare it like a lot of sightings of giant birds or prehistoric birds like pterodactyls or something. It's funny because I listened to today in the chapter down, they're talking about a sighting of a large bird in Florida, like not too far from where I am in like South Florida, which is funny. I like the Mothman made it down here. But for my story, the aspect of the Mothman I want to use is that the whole prophecy thing, and that the Mothman would interact with my character that I don't know. For right now, I'm calling them Cole. And I think I said that on the last episode, and I based that off of one of the scientific names of beetles. So for right now, their name is Cole. I don't even know their gender. I don't know anything about them yet. Right now, as a placeholder, they're Cole. So the Mothman will interact with my character Cole. So I'm thinking that my character Cole is right now is kind of in this in between, neither hero or villain. So I was thinking about it like, because on the last episode I talked about, I watched both of the Fly movies. It's interesting because I I don't have a clear cut picture of who the hero is and actually who the villain is. Like, people do good stuff and bad stuff in both movies, especially the one from the 1980s. Somebody saves the woman in the end by killing the fly, because the fly is trying to combine his body with her, and because spoiler alert, she's pregnant in the end with what she worries is a half human, half fly baby. But there isn't like a clear cut hero from the beginning, because even the person who saves if you picked up on that rambling and pause, that was me again forgetting Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis's name. Yes, I am getting old and I'm forgetting everyone's name. So sorry. But like I was saying, even in the end, I don't know who the actor's name who saves Gina Davis from the fly version of Jeff Goldblum in the end. But he's not even a hero. He like saves the day at the end. But he's kind of creeper at the beginning of the movie, because he's like Gina Davis's ex and is super stalky and jealous of Jeff Goldblum's character and their his new relationship with Gina Davis. And of course, I mean, Jeff Goldblum becomes the villain in the end, but he doesn't set out to be a villain. He just turns into a monster. Kind of the same thing with the original Fly movie. Yeah, so like with this one, I don't know. I'm trying to go off of my screenwriting Bible, Save the Cat, where you need to set up the premise of who the hero is and why the audience should root for them in the beginning. But with my character Cole, I think I want the more important thing to be shown is their, I don't know, like not them becoming the hero, but their kind of conflict of choosing to either be a hero or be a villain. Because I know I started to talk about Mothman. Bear with me. My character Cole is going to be a character that you see the progress of them being pulled both ways by kind of, sorry to use this cliche term, the dark side and the light side. And I'll talk about, who's pulling them in those directions more later on. But I don't think the way I see this story going is the quintessential, this is the hero. This is why you should follow them. This is why you should root for them. And this is how the story is going to go. You see this character who is kind of an everyday person, but finding out more about themselves, their history and all these things that they thought were true and not true, and seeing all the story behind it and having to choose either vengeance or to save someone, or they have to make a decision. And that's what you have to root for. You, as the audience, you're going to see this character and want them to be a hero, but you can see the reason they would turn into a villain or go down, sorry to say this, the dark side. So maybe I'm going to rip off Star Wars. I don't know what I'm going to. No, I'm not going to rip anybody off. But so saying that, going back to the Mothman is going to interact with my character, kind of being their guide, because this is how I see the Mothman, because Mothman folklore lasts for a long time, that I have this thing there where the Mothman isn't going to be like a person. It's not like a giant bug, even though that's what, or a giant bird or a giant bat / man. But it's going to be an entity that can survive all these years because it can create a cocoon for itself and kind of destroy itself and be reborn again. And it's a spirit that's made up of many different insects. I know I talked about it on that first episode for the Insecta story, that I was inspired by that scene in Constantine, where Constantine is attacked by this demon that's made up of all these bugs and insects and I think reptiles too. But that's how I'm going to create the Mothman. The Mothman is this spirit guide that comes to Cole. Because like I said in the last episode, Cole is a shaman. They're destined to be a shaman. That's their history. But they are kind of not avoiding it, but they might not have a full awareness of it or be pushing themselves away from their own history. And the spirit world is using these insects as guides for Cole because they know they can either go down this good path to become a hero or become a villain down this dark path. And the Mothman is kind of a guide for that. And the Mothman in this iteration is made up of these insects, and it's a spirit guide trying to guide Cole. Because like I said, the Mothman, his folklore is through prophecies. And Cole as a shaman can be guided through that, because Cole as a shaman, if they reach their true potential, they can not become the Mothman, but have similar characteristics of him when it comes to prophecies. The Mothman is kind of cursed to only be involved in bad prophecies. Like they know when really bad catastrophic things are going to happen, like the bridge collapse. But they're trying to guide Cole as a shaman, as a young shaman, to be able to see both good and bad and all this stuff and see the spirit world and all that. So that's going to be like a guide for Cole, because Cole is going to be a young person coming of age and all this stuff. I don't know yet if they're going to be automatically part of this world, like the shaman world and all this stuff, or they're going to be just dropped into it. I don't know what's more cliche or what's less cliche, or what builds out a story better. An everyday person that the audience sees themselves through this person that's just dropped into this world. The example of that I always think of is Big Trouble in Little China with Jack Burton. Maybe I'll go that way. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. So that's the Mothman, how I see the Mothman. And with something with interesting that's brought up a lot with the Mothman prophecies is this thing called, or these people called Men in Black, but not the movie with Will Smith, Men in Black. It's older than that, where it's like it's sightings that go along with extraterrestrials and all this stuff, where there's sightings of extraterrestrials or phenomena like that you would just say are extraterrestrials to make sense of it, that these entities called the Men in Black have shown up, but they're not human. Like I said, it's not like the movie with Will Smith. They're kind of these weird humanoid, not really kind of, and it's a belief that they're aliens themselves, or these weird oddities that show up and try to convince people they didn't see aliens or something like that, or discredit. So that's going to be part of it too, because the way they're explained by their sightings and their interactions with people, it's like they're not quite human. They're maybe androids, or they have these really weird eyes and this really weird skin, and they wear clothes that you wouldn't see regular people wearing. They would be wearing really old clothes or clothes that haven't come into fashion yet. So they will be guides as part of this insect shaman spiritual world. In my story, they're going to be kind of like the Men in Black, but the reason they don't come off as humans is because they're being controlled by kind of these weird insect spirit world creatures that are inside them. I'm sorry to reference the movie Men in Black, even though I said not like the movie Men in Black, but like in Men in Black, the movie where the giant roach creature in the beginning takes over a human body. And also there's a little tiny alien that's controlling a human body. And that's the whole thing with the galaxy is on Orion's belt, because Orion was the cat and had the galaxy, and sorry, I'm referencing an old movie from the 90s. So like I said, these Men in Black, not like the movie, but kind of, sorry, I'll explain it more. There'll be another entity. I don't think they'll be guiding Cole as like I'm saying the Mothman will, but they'll be part of the story as far as the insect world and the spirit world have combined and all this stuff. Maybe they'll be keeping a track on Cole, like kind of from a distance. They're the B story. I'll say that, or a reference for the B story. So, okay. And also piggybacking off of the Mothman prophecy folklore in the book, the audiobook version I'm listening to, they talk about extraterrestrials and all these sightings that, we as humans say are extraterrestrial, but they say maybe they aren't, people from outer space, but they are travelers from a different dimension. Like there's multiple dimensions going on at once, and they're interdimensional travelers. Or they're older versions of society that were here far before humans and are hibernating, and they pop up at different times. Now that made me think of like maybe the old gods that I've referenced, the Greek gods, the Mesopotamian gods, all that stuff in the spirit world with the insects, and nowadays that all these things happen past before humans, and they're hibernating. So my main enemy that I should have talked about before, Nurgle, the Mesopotamian god, that is the god of like plagues and death and war and all this stuff, that the prophecy is that after humans are done on Earth, these old gods, these old spirit world, all this stuff will come back. But Nurgle, the angry god, wants it to happen faster. So his plan is to cause these plagues and all this stuff to end the reign of like humans earlier, because, you know, him and, you know, gods like him were on Earth before, but they're forced into hibernation and all this stuff. So he is trying to, through the insect world, the spirit world, convince or push Cole, my character in this story, to the dark side by communicating through them and influencing them through the insect world. So you're going to have this push with Nurgle on one side, pushing my character Cole to the dark side and using the spirit world through these insects that Cole is constantly being bombarded with and influenced by. Nurgle, that's his plan, to cause another huge plague on Earth to end the reign of humans. So all these gods like him can come back and they can rule again. That's going to be the main like conflict that's driving like the overall story. And my character Cole is going to be stuck in the middle. But also like Nurgle is like a character that pops up a lot. There even, like the original way I saw it was through like as a Mesopotamian god of plagues and war and death, I think. But he pops up on like that influenced me to get the Constantine comics, because he pops up there. That's on my reading list too. I haven't read the one I bought that Nurgle shows up in the Constantine comics. So that's on my reading list. I'll catch up with it. But that's kind of the dark side of my story. The light side will be the Greek goddess Medusa, or she a Gorgon. There's a lot of stories about Medusa. But I like Medusa to kind of see Cole, I think, is going to be like kind of like Percy Jackson or something like that, which is they're descendant from all these things. That's why they're new to this world, or they don't know about it because it's way down the timeline and all this stuff, and they're discovering about it. But I'm thinking Medusa is going to be influenced Cole in kind of still in a vengeance direction, because Medusa was done dirty. And her story is much different from what's usually told. But Medusa will be the influence that's trying to push Cole in the right way. That's trying to show Cole, my character in this story, that vengeance and revenge and all this stuff, that it's going to lead them to the dark path and all this. That's kind of like I said, the light and the dark, as cliche that is. That's going to be the drive that's pushing Cole in these different directions. And you as the audience are going to be seeing this back and forth and hopefully rooting for Cole to do the right thing or be a hero or something like that. But yeah, that's kind of the backstory I'm trying to build for this before I really jump into who the characters are in the world. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts just about like insects to get background of insects and how, because the main thing I want to do next is think about a way where I might ask AI for help with this, because I haven't been asking AI for help for a couple of episodes, but a way that the spirit world are going to use these insects to contact Cole, but not just like an insect popping up speaking English. I want a different way for the spirit world to communicate with Cole that's going to be unique to this story. Like I said, I might ask AI to get some ideas with that. But yeah, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts about insects and just learning different things, like insects that use, like the giant peacock moth that uses sounds to scare off predators and uses like this chirper ultrasonic defense mechanism when they're caterpillars. And that's something I always want to do, have this like metaphysical story that's going along with how, you know, caterpillars go in a cocoon and transform into moth or butterfly. That's going to be part of the story, but not like a direct one. It's going to be like a metaphysical theme to the story. Also like those moths, I think it's the giant peacock moth. Probably other ones that have the wings that when you look at them from behind, it look like eyes. And as a way to scare off predators, that's going to be part of it. Because I feel like there's going to be good insects in this story that are going to have to like swarm and do different things to protect Cole. Because Cole is going to be a regular person. As I think I'm like, they're going to be dropped into this world where they don't know they're a shaman. They don't know all this stuff. So the insects that are trying to pull them in a good direction are going to be kind of fighting this battle against the bad energy. And Cole is kind of stuck in the middle. Yeah, and there's other thing I heard about this thing called Lone Star ticks that can be frozen and then brought back to life. So that's going to maybe go along with the Nurgle thing I was talking about. Like there's all these things in hibernation and they're waiting for, you know, humans' reign on Earth to end. But Nurgle's going to use all these things that have been in the past to come back now to try to cause this plague to end humanity. Yeah, so I'm getting more ideas. My midweek break, my Insecta story. But yeah, that's all I have for now. Yeah, I'm gonna look up some more stuff about Mothman because that's one of the biggest like references and inspirations for this story was like Mothman, cryptozoology and folklore. So I'll look for those comics. I don't know when they came out. They're fairly new. They're not like really old. And I will read the Constantine ones. I still have my movie list. I still need to watch Percy Jackson movies, the ones from a couple years ago and that's newer version. I need to watch Joe's Apartment. I need to watch Blue Beetle because I forgot. I missed it when it was in theaters. I think it's on TV, on streaming now because it just looks good. But yeah, I'll keep it on. I'll finish listening to the Mothman Prophecies. Maybe I'll find something else more to inspire me about that. But yeah, that's why I ended my midweek break monster of the week Insecta story. Thanks for listening. Like I said, I'm still Kirk. This is still Dumb Test Slate. Hope you're having a good time. Enjoying something, being inspired, making art, cooking something, hugging someone. Enjoy your time here. But yeah, I'll end it there. So I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.